Madden and Benz Unfiltered on this Monday. Tim Benz, Mark Madden with you after a holiday weekend. Hope you all had a good 4th. Mark, I know you were on vacation a little bit. How did yours go?
It was okay. Conneaut Lake, very nostalgic and relaxing, and Eddie's Hot Dogs.
And the donut place.
Right, supermarket. Yeah, Golden Dawn.
I pretty much just chilled out at the house and enjoyed the 3-day weekend. We had a 4th of July party. We had the fireworks off the deck, and then we didn't have any at all for the Pittsburgh Pirates in Seattle. My God, they were exactly what we joked they were going to be. They went from the team that shut out the Cardinals 3 games in a row to being shut out 3 games in a row in Seattle. The ultimate only the Pirates moment, Mark, because only the Pirates have ever done it.
Yeah, it was quite incredible. Their lack of offense in Seattle was staggering. Just 12 hits total over the 3 games, only 1 extra base hit, no runs, obviously. That's the first time the franchise has been shut out 3 times in a row since 1888 when they were called the Alleghenies. And, Tim, I'm not even sure Seattle had been settled by then.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're right. I mean, that performance offensively was just the ultimate reminder of how the Pirates can remind you who they are if you just let them. We do this every year, Mark. We forget about the golden rule of baseball. And that golden rule of baseball is every team, even the worst team, is going to win 50. Even the best team is going to lose 50. And then it's the 62 in between that make up the standings. The Pirates are going to have a hot stretch or two, but never allow yourself to be fooled into thinking they're anything besides what they are. And what they are is a bottom-dwelling team, always.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that the bats are bad. They just don't have good hitters. O'Neill Cruz now is hitting 178 since May 1st. How about that? 178 with 80 strikeouts since May 1st. He absolutely should be sent to AAA. There's no doubt about that. He has a great talent, but a small heart and no brain. And he has to be shocked back into reality because this is simply not acceptable. And he's a butcher in center field as well. The thing that's a mystery to me currently with the Pirates, Tim, is what are they doing with Skenes? Why has he only pitched 14 innings total in the last 3 starts? And his pitch count hasn't been particularly high in any of those. He's averaging, I think it's 81 pitches per start over the last 3. Why have they suddenly gone conservative with him when he was and still is among the league leaders in innings pitched to this point?
That's what's driving me crazy. And I know that he told reporters after the game, watching the postgame on Sportsnet Pittsburgh, that he knew it was going to be a light volume day. Well, he could have pitched 1 more inning and probably still had it been a light volume day.
Well, and why would you project that in advance? Is winning not important? What's the end game here?
Well, winning is not important.
Make sure he's rested for the All-Star game so he can start. And if it's so important that he pitches 1 inning in a non-competitive game against the Detroit ace, Tarek Skubal, why was it so unimportant for them to go head-to-head in a real game when the opportunity presented and was ignored when the Pirates visited Detroit in mid-June? I don't get it.
And why was it unimportant to keep throwing in a great pitcher's duel against a pitcher with repute like George Kirby, who was on fire in the other dugout?
Yeah, well, what's the story? What is the purpose? They're wasting Paul Skenes. They have the best pitcher in baseball. He is their window, and they're wasting him. And the not spending, I get, because they've never spent and never will. But him throwing so few pitches recently, that I don't get.
And, Mark, I was stunned because I was griping about this online yesterday. I've been stunned at the amount of fans, Pirate fans, who are caping for the organization on this one and saying that they're doing it right with Paul Skenes. Like, you don't want to watch him while you got him? You're not going to have him for very long.
He is leaving after next season. When he gets a huge arbitration award of presumably $30 million, whatever, before the 2027 season, he will be traded immediately. This owner will never pay any player $30 million for a season, not even for a fraction of that season.
You know, at some point, you're just bastardizing baseball. I mean, I understand that you got him on a pitch count and you're watching him and you're monitoring him, but at some point, the flow of the game has to come into play, or why are you playing? Is everything spring training?
If you're telling me that winning doesn't matter and you're just trying to protect him, okay, then tell me why you're trying to protect him. Is that what he wants? Is that what his agent wants? Is that what the Yankees and Dodgers want? Because one of them going to get him sooner or later. And if that is the case, why do I care what they want if I'm a Pirate fan? And why should the Pirates care?
Yeah, why do the Pirates fans care about like their wallet?
Never mind the fans, Tim. Why does Donnie Kelly care? just put him out there and try to win. He's now under 500, Tim. He's not quite the miracle worker that we thought, and certainly not in the caliber with Jesus and the loaves and fishes.
Well, I would have left him in for at least one more inning because he was cruising. It was 78 pitches. Like every refuting argument that people come up with as to why it was the right move to pull him, all I can say is you could accomplish that goal by still having him go out there and throw 10 more pitches in the sixth.
Pirate fans are idiots, Tim, because they have, been just brainwashed into believing that winning isn't what you want. They look for other rewards besides winning. Steeler fans are the same way too. They want to pay TJ Watt $40 million because he has good stats, but no playoff wins.
Well, let's get to the Steelers next, and let's get to Watt's contract. Tom Pelissero on the 4th of July, I believe, maybe it was Thursday, made the comment that he believes Watt will surpass Myles Garrett's total of $40 million per year as an edge rusher. And he said if the Steelers were to try to trade him, if they don't want to pay him that, they're not going to get a first-round pick. Well, if he's not worthy of a first-round pick, then he's not worthy of $40 million over multiple years.
I could not have put it better, Tim, and I will steal that as my own original thought on my radio show today.
Go right ahead.
Being careful not to replay this clip on said radio show. If you can't get a first-round pick for him, why would you make him the NFL's highest-paid non-quarterback?
I understand the contractual element of this, but there's also, you can extrapolate that beyond, just the acquiring team. I would imagine that the acquiring team would want to sign him, or if they don't sign him, then he's going to become a free agent after this year. And if the suggestion is he's not worth $40 million this year, he's not going to be worth $40 million after the upcoming season either.
Tim, I'm going to cut back to my own personal chase when it comes to TJ Watt thing. They need to tell this entitled, whiny, jug-headed gym teacher to play out the last year of his contract, and then we'll franchise you as necessary. See it work. That's what they need to do. That is what's best for the franchise. And if he doesn't play, let him sit. Like Branch Rickey said to Ralph Kiner, and I'm paraphrasing, we can never win playoff games without you.
I guess, other side of the argument to that is the perception, and we'll get into this a little bit more. The perception is that they're quote unquote all in for this year. And if they don't sign Watt this year, then that's spitting in the face of everything that they've done this offseason.
You're right, but I don't see the need to pile stupidity on top of stupidity. They can say they're all in. I'm not sure they've ever used that terminology, actually.
No, they haven't. They haven't. You're right.
If they're all in to just win a playoff game because they're nowhere near a Super Bowl contender.
No, the Steelers have not used all in.
Of this franchise and what it's become compared to what it used to be, Tim. And I'm also tired, as we talked about on the podcast, that all the ex-players with microphones will say every current player should get the bag. They will never look at the situation objectively and say whether he's really worth the money, if there's another way to pursue getting him to play that's more beneficial to the club, like I've laid out time and again. They just won't even explore that. It's just single-minded, give him the bag. And I'll extend that by saying, in the old days, if somebody held out with the Steelers, you would have a player say, hey, he needs to get in here. We're trying to win. And there's no hope of that now. Like Cam Hayward, he will genuflect toward Watt because he went through the same thing, yada, yada. It's just a stink sandwich.
Well, I'll corroborate what you said before. You're right. Yes, they've never said that they're all in. The media and the fans are doing that for them, which is sort of the ironic part, because I don't think that the moves that they've made this year have put them in that all-in category. Using that phrase suggests to me you're pushing every chip that you have in the middle of the table in terms of finances and how far you're extending yourself against the salary cap and in terms of roster construction to win this year. And I don't think anything they've done has done that, really. Aaron Rodgers took the place of Russell Wilson.
The reason it looks like that And the reason you can even really say it and sound credible is because they just have all these old guys. I mean, if you're not all in, why do you have Hayward and Watt and bring in Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers? Why would you do that if you're not all in? You're certainly not building.
Yeah, but they're just swapping out Minkah for Ramsey. It's a safety going out the door who used to be really good at taking the ball away and is 28. Now they're bringing in a cornerback of the same variety who's 30. Like that's a swap to me. That's not all in.
Yeah, and as I've said repeatedly, I think Jonnu Smith was the key get there. But I don't know. You got a bunch of old dudes, Tim. I don't think they're all in. I just think they're being managed stupidly. And, of course, they rewarded the GM who's done all that with a 3-year extension.
I don't think that they're in a position where they should be moving on from Omar Khan, but has he proven anything that makes you think he's got the team in the right direction?
Why do you have to extend him right now?
Well, yeah, that's the
Why
part of it.
Why can't you see if all the moves he's made pay off? And, Tim, no other team in the league is going to want him. No other team in the league sees Omar Khan as a GM but the Penguins. He's a capologist. He's a bean counter.
No, it's a case where, it's Art's money. He can do with it whatever he wants because it doesn't count against the cap. So if he wants to keep Omar, fine. Maybe it's also a tacit admission, Mark, that Andy Weidl's the personnel guy and Mike Tomlin's the heavy.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mike Tomlin makes all the decisions anyway. I'm just tired of all this. I'm tired of just discussing minutia that leads to the same old mushy middle. None of this matters, really.
Are you tired yet of discussing what the Penguins have done in free agency since they've done so little? Or should we talk about that some more because of the moves that they did make?
I can only even think of one guy off the top of my head, and that's Anthony Mantha.
They're going to be able to pump anything out of him, get something out of him that other teams haven't yet been able to do on a consistent basis?
Well, no, he has 3 20-goal seasons, and he's big. He's coming off knee surgery. I think that's a logical risk for low money. But that's the kind of risk the Penguins are going to take. They're not trying to win now. They're certainly not all in.
No, they're actually the opposite, and I think that was more illustrated during the draft than anything. I didn't expect them to be a big player in free agency. I thought perhaps that they'd maybe trade some of their picks to get collateral that then could be used in some way, shape, or form to either address holes on this year's roster or then parlay into next year, like basically bringing guys who could replace, say, a Brian Rust or a Ricard Raquel. I guess they could still move those guys before training camp starts. They didn't get Carlson till what, Mark? I guess early August, like if you want to use sort of a marker on the calendar when big moves can still be made hockey-wise. So, yeah, those trades could still happen. But at that point, for what? More picks? They got plenty of picks.
Yeah, but you still want to keep throwing stuff at the wall, Tim. I think they're taking a good approach to rebuilding. I think the only thing they lack in the system now is a star up front. And who knows, maybe they win the lottery and get Gavin McKenna. The next draft, the top 5 picks are all star level. So you've got to get a top 5 pick this coming year. And it's more important to get a top 5 pick than to be concerned about Sid's discomfort and the team being real bad. This can't be about him anymore, and I think the decisions they made shows that they have come to that conclusion as well.
Do you think Rust and Raquel being kept is about Sid to a degree, Mark? Like they're keeping those guys, but that's sort of the sacrifice, if you will.
I think they'll both probably be gone by the deadline of this coming season. And I think you might actually amp up their value by keeping one or both until that point.
Just because they'll be playing with Sid the whole time, they'll get power play time.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you wait till then, Tim, you will have had a good look at, the guys that are, you've added to the team this year, whether they're young, journeyman, whatever. And then you can make more educated decisions about what you trade Rust and Raquel for, specifically what you need. Say you trade them for prospects, you can act more positionally, perhaps. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but I'm saying there is value to keeping them until the deadline. And I also think that this year's team, they're going to be bad. But remember how Mike Sullivan always said the goal was to be difficult to play against?
Yeah.
Well, he got about as far away from that as you possibly could in the last 5 or 6 years of his tenure. The Penguins were incredibly easy to play against. And now, if nothing else, I think they're going to be worse, but they're going to be bigger and grittier. And sometimes when you start that model with the bad team, you can continue that model as you build toward having a good team.
What'd you think of the Ozzy Osbourne Back to the Beginning tribute?
Well, I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen enough clips to know that it, I think, went as well as could be expected. You know, even Steven Tyler jumped up there and sang a couple songs and sounded good, which, of course, has the Aerosmith rumor mill buzzing about a potential comeback for them, or maybe a big show in the vein of Back to the Beginning to have a send-off for Aerosmith. But, yeah, it was good. And Ozzy, despite having to sit, his voice was good enough. So I think it's a job well done by everybody, not least him. And she gets a lot of stick, but his wife Sharon put all this together, and she is hell on wheels, to put it mildly, but full credit.
Who pulled off sounding like Sabbath the best, do you think?
Oh, I didn't hear all of them, but I thought Guns N' Roses did a really good job with Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
That one specific track.
Yeah, I thought that's one I did hear, and it sounded really good.
I'm a big Rival Sons fan, as you know. I know they were on the bill. I didn't know that in advance. They were at some award show. I think it was the Grammys, and they pulled off War Pigs really well before. I'll be interested to see what they sang.
I was surprised that some of the groups overlapped. They did the same Sabbath song.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like Mastodon, didn't Mastodon do one that Metallica did as well or something like that?
Yeah, and like, I'm not sure, but I think one of the undercard did a song that Sabbath did. And I thought there would be no overlap there.
All right, let's get to some comments here. We'll start with Jeremy, who said, Pirates went from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, only the Pirates. Yeah, that's how I led off my column. That's how I led off the intro today. Only they are capable of what they just did, and they're entirely capable of being shut out for 3 more games in a row by Kansas City to make it 12 straight games.
It is amazing that they got shut out 3 times after they shut the Cardinals out 3 times. It is amazing they took what was a magic moment and stuck it up their own backside.
And Jeremy adds, Pirates creating records in all sorts of categories this year. One of them is how bad they are on the road, which is kind of surprising to me, Mark. I would have thought that they'd love to get out of PNC Park where, you know, it's only 1/3 full and people are just there for bobbleheads and fireworks if they're there at all, or they're there to start chanting, sell the team. I would have thought they'd be one of the better road teams in baseball because of that. Skenes is usually good on the road. He's the one guy who lives up to that thought.
Yeah, Skenes hasn't had a win since the end of May.
Yeah, how about that? Maybe there's the reason to at least leave him in for the 6th, perhaps. Maybe they get a run in the 7th. They didn't, but maybe they do.
I can't help but feel that him and his agent have influence on this. That they say, you know, do not stress him. We have bigger fish to fry, and the Pirates are doing that. They have no reason to do that, but I don't ask me why, Tim. I can kind of feel that. Can't you?
I got a tweet from somebody making that exact suggestion, and they
like you're not trying to win, so don't break him in the process.
Right, and they actually phrased it somewhat close to that, and then said everybody wins. The Pirates didn't win. That's the point. Seattle won. The Pirates don't win by this. They win in the sense that they can still have him out there for 4 or 5 innings in September at PNC Park, I guess. But who's watching or caring by that point? Because you've unplugged yourself from people caring back in April because you didn't put a team around him in the first place.
I'm amazed, though, that the people who still debate, oh, wait till Connor Griffin gets here. When Connor Griffin gets to Pittsburgh, Skenes will be gone, unless they overlap for like a month.
Brian says if the Nats can fire their GM with the first pick coming up in the draft, why can't the Pirates do it?
What good will it do? What difference will it make? Tell me specifically what difference it'll make to have Ben Sherrington not be the GM for the draft and at the trade deadline.
Well, maybe I'll rephrase it, Mark, and actually use this guy's point to amplify the conversation in the sense, what if they did have the number 1 pick? Would you be more inclined to fire Sherrington then so he wouldn't screw it up?
I just think we're overthinking all this. It doesn't matter who the GM is. It doesn't matter who the manager is. It doesn't matter if they have Skenes or not, as long as there is no financial commitment by the owner. And on top of that, no passion for winning, no regard for it. All the stuff we're talking about is meaningless minutia. They have the best pitcher in baseball right now, and it doesn't matter at all.
Let's get a hockey one up. Carson says, I think Rust and or Raquel have to go. They have a big logjam of forwards now, especially if you want young guys to play in larger roles.
They don't have a big logjam of forwards right now. Why would you say that, you dope?
Well, they drafted lots of people, but that doesn't mean any of them are ready.
They're not going to play in the league. anytime soon, not this year, not next year probably. So I don't get that at all. I don't get what this guy's saying at all.
Well, I mean, the young forwards that'll probably be woven in on a regular basis, more so than, say, to start last year, are who then? Bros, McGroarty, and Koivunen, right? I mean, like, those are the three.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to have to play like Hayes and Achari. You got him. Like this draft did not constitute much immediate turnover at all. You're going to get the guys you mentioned. I think Brunick will probably make the team on defense. Pickering will stick. But this takes time. Everybody wants this to be incarnation instant breakfast. It takes time.
How about moving Ned instead of Jari? That felt like a move of practicality more than progress.
I think they see Ned as more of a starter than, see Jari as more of a starter than Ned, and they're right. I mean, Jari handles that workload. And the dressing room, if you're trying to throw them a bone, Sid and company see Jari as legitimate. They are confident with him in that, even though he's presented them no evidence to be.
There's an interesting one here from Jonathan, not so much about the point that he makes, but there's a tangent here to bring up. Found my brother a Barry Bonds and Paul Skenes card this weekend, two players who started in Pittsburgh and are ending up in San Francisco. And something interesting about Brian Reynolds. Did you see his no trade, Mark? It's actually kind of smart when you think about it. Like, it would jump off at you and say, well, why doesn't he want to go to these places? But his no trade is something like Toronto, the two New York teams, San Diego, San Francisco, and I want to say one other team in California. I don't know if it's the Angels or the Dodgers or whoever.
Well, no, it's simple why he did that.
Taxes.
He listed he listed all the teams that would be likely to get him. Okay, and the teams that he'd be willing to accept a trade to aren't going to want him because they're no good.
Yeah, I also looked at it from the standpoint of his
trade control extends beyond the teams on his contract.
I looked at it more from the standpoint of he asked for those teams because, he signed a contract that's worth a significant amount in Pittsburgh. You stick that contract in New York or some of those places in California, it doesn't mean as much now. The dollars aren't the same dollars in those places.
No, that's possible. And if that's true, that would be just like him, a guy with no competitive acumen who signed in Pittsburgh because he didn't want to bet on himself in free agency, who doesn't care about winning, who just wants to play ball and collect his paycheck. Yeah, that makes sense.
This is Richard. The Steelers are going all in simply because the no playoff win streak is becoming an embarrassment to both Tomlin and the organization as a whole. They are desperate in trying to win at least one playoff game. Again, though, I just see Aaron Rodgers as a souped-up version of what Russell Wilson is, at least at the end. I mean, we do forget, Mark, Wilson won 6 of his first 7 games. If Aaron Rodgers at any point this season with this team ends up winning 6 of 7 games, be thankful, because I don't know that they will.
Well, they are all in mentally and emotionally, Tim. They think they're all in, and it is, like that guy said, just to win a playoff game. The organization is freaked by having gone 8 years without winning a playoff game, and that's why I bring in all the old guys. And one thing, too, Tim, the areas where we think they're in trouble, they don't think so. They think Calvin Austin is fine as the number 2 receiver. They think the tackles are fine despite the fact that they've barely played at their positions that they will occupy this year.
This is actually kind of a funny one from Brian. He says, I would have made Omar finish out his contract and franchise him after that as needed.
You wouldn't have needed to him.
That'd be great if Art were to franchise Omar after Omar franchised TJ. I would love to see that.
I'm curious how the TJ thing resolved. But again, it's such a vacuum with TJ. The national media, everybody, Tim, everybody, ex-players, but the guys like Greenberg, gotta pay him. And part of that is no one wants to deal with JJ when they cross paths on air if they say don't pay him.
Yeah, and the teams don't tell anybody anything. It's the agents who tell the media members these details. So everybody wants to, cozy up to the agents. So they don't want to say, like, the Steelers shouldn't pay Watt. What are they doing? Then the agent shuts off communication.
Our business is just so rotten, Tim. I should take part in a loser leaves town match and just take the pin.
Brian wants to know what you remember about Mo Mantha's game.
They're no relation.
I know. I just think he wants to know what you remember about Mo Mantha. How long? Wait, Mantha was what year was he drafted?
Anthony, I don't know.
No, Mo Mantha.
I certainly don't remember that. He was okay.
Yeah, I think Anthony. Somebody else put in here. They got Anthony Mantha basically just to bump up the stats, to have his stats bumped up by Sid or Gino, and then trade him at the deadline to get more picks.
That's like asking me, what do you remember about Robin Burns?
Hold on one second. From
I
Bill.
think we got Mo Mantha in the Randy Carlisle trade.
Is that when they got him?
I think so. So then he was significant. He was an important part of downgrading to get Mario.
Bill says the Pirates winning 6 in a row is the equivalent of a blind squirrel finding a nut, a flash of luck, which is just enough to keep the Stooges interested.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I mean, the keeping them interested part, like, if you can con yourself into thinking 6 games in late June and early July means something, you're the type of person that's going to be interested anyway, even if it's a losing streak like the one they're going through now against Seattle.
What I liked him, and I'm not going to dignify him with a mention, but there's like this one Pirate blogger, and everything he says is this outraged statement of definite. They have to fire Sherrington. They have to get Skenes help. They have to do this, that, and the other. Okay, well, they're not going to, and if they did, what difference would it make? I can't preach that enough about the Pirates. They don't matter at all. No decision they make matters at all. When you spend as little as they do, no decision they make can matter at all. In case in point, I got told by somebody on Twitter when I bemoaned that Skenes would be traded in 27 after he gets his arbitration award, right? Like that I was told, well, that has to happen because you don't understand how small market teams work. Okay, here's what I understand about small market teams. When Kansas City, a few years back, got their window, they maximized it. They spent and they won a World Series. And then after they won the World Series, they burned it down. That's how you're supposed to operate. You spend money selectively and with a purpose when the time comes. The Pirates won't do that because Skenes is the time coming. He is their window, and they're ignoring that. If they're ignoring Paul Skenes as their window, every single other decision they make is inconsequential because their intent will not change.
Yeah, and I think that person who said you don't understand how small market teams work has been following a small market team for so long, he's forgotten how baseball works. The goal is at some point to have a game, a series, a season to win. At some point, you've got to try to win.
Yeah, I mean, people are dopes, Tim. I got another tweet the other day because I was talking about how, I like the Penguins process. And, I always feel like I'm saying too bad for Sid if they're bad, but I am kind of saying that. And I'm a Sid fan, but I know what it takes to get back to where they want to be. Okay, and it's not nickel and diming to try to squeak into a playoff berth and get buried in the first round, which even if they pursued that, they're not good enough to do anyway. But somebody said, well, how are you going to feel? Never mind, Sid, how are you going to feel if the Penguins are bad this year? And I said, oh, no, not that. I've never experienced that before. I mean, for God's sakes, look at the big picture, please, with all these teams. And realize the Pirates, there is no big picture.
What is the best donut at that grocery store?
Oh, at Golden Dawn and Conneaut Lake.
The single best donut, what is it?
That's a tough one. Can I go with 2?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a traditionalist. Like, if you just go Dunkin' Donut, chocolate frosted, simple.
I would say they have chocolate and vanilla with the reverse icing and then, like, crushed Oreos on top. But the icing in the vanilla case is the actual Oreo frosting. I don't know how they do that, but it is. Or at least tastes like it. And the Oreos aren't like crushed. It's almost like they were put through a blender. Like they're so finely ground and distributed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the Oreos, and then they do one that's very basic, which is, these are all cake donuts, by the way, in the ones I'm describing. They also do vanilla chocolate donut, vanilla chocolate icing with Oreos on top. I mean, not Oreos, M&Ms.
Okay. All
That's
right.
pretty basic. I would go with the Oreo given ultimatum because there's actually more of a craft to that one that I haven't witnessed elsewhere. For example, in Vegas at Resorts World, I forget the name of their donut shop, but it's great. But their M&M's donuts are exactly the same as the ones at Golden Dawn. Whereas the Oreo, I've seen plenty of Oreo donuts. The Golden Dawn ones are unique.
See, when you started talking about the Oreo cookie with the chocolate and the vanilla on opposite sides and all that, my mind started to wander to the Jerry Seinfeld bit about the black and white cookie.
Oh, Bette Midler wanted a black and white cookie. I remember that. If I don't get a black and white cookie, I'm going to get cranky. Yeah, but the Oreo, I hope I've done it justice in the description because there are a bunch of varieties in there. Chocolate donut, vanilla donut, chocolate icing, Oreo icing. So it's just, it is life's rich pageant, Tim. In fact, I was crushed, absolutely devastated on Saturday when I got to Golden Dawn late and all those varieties were gone.
What'd you have to get stuck with, like hazelnut or something like that?
No. I got like a chocolate ice and a vanilla chocolate ice with sprinkles. So they were real good. But I got there early yesterday, you can be damn sure.
Yeah, well, I stay away from jelly because there's no way to eat jelly donut in public and get away with it without looking messy. You have to do that one in private, all by yourself, a jelly donut. You can't do that graceful. You can't do that gracefully.
That's true too. So yeah, but and I topped it all off with an Eddie's hot dog on the way out of town, Tim.
Hey, Mark's back on today, Monday through Thursday. I'm on for Mark on Friday. Check us out next week for the Mad Monday podcast, which is posted at Trib Live right now, brought to you by Hollywood Casino at the Meadows. And Mark is on 3 until 6 today through Thursday. This will be posted on YouTube and on the Trib Live Facebook page.